Hey investor friends, I'm Scream, and you may remember me from popular movies like Scream and Scary Movie. And today we're going to celebrate what October brings us. And some of what October brings includes this year's 2020 NBA Finals, as well as Breast Cancer Month, as well as National Pizza Month, but most importantly, Halloween. And since I am dead, I can take off my head and recite Shakespearean quotations and or in my case, I talk about Warren Buffett quotations like, you know who's swimming naked when the tide goes out, or price is what you pay and value's what you get, and risk comes from not knowing what you're doing. And let me reintroduce myself. I'm Michelle Markey, and this year's 2020 Halloween public service announcement includes wear a mask if you're going trick-or-treating this year, and don't ask for candy. Get some sanitizer because nothing helps you make it through the Halloween and remaining holiday season than some sanitizer. So make sure you're protected during coronavirus. Now, October isn't just noteworthy for Halloween. There are some events and ideas that people have had during the month of October that maybe we should kind of consider as we're thinking about our investments in a light-hearted sort of way. So take some of what you're about to hear with a grain of salt. So sometimes there's something called an October surprise where, maybe there's a plot to try to influence the outcome of the elections, and the ensuing volatility after an election could rattle some of the markets. So just be careful about if you pay attention to some of the news and whoever gets elected on November 3rd in 2020. Don't let that scare you when it comes to your investment portfolio. And then also, October is known for a 22.6% Dow Jones index crash in October of 1987. And on that fateful day, October 19 was also known as Black Monday. And a lot of people freaked out about it. And then you also have an Investopedia article citing a Halloween strategy where it talks about how from the months after Halloween, so from November through April, your S&P 500 investment could be performing pretty well compared to the rest of the year, or from May through October. And this may date back to some time back in Victorian or high society England, where some brokers and analysts went to the countryside and they didn't manage their stock portfolios during the summer, so that could have meant that maybe their investments weren't doing so well. But we don't really have a good explanation for why there seems to be some random trend that dating back to about 1971 that somehow the S&P 500 index should be performing particularly well between November and April. But if you choose to use such a strategy, be careful, because it's not really rooted in any real science or any real reason why that is. It just happens to be kind of a fun fact. And even though there may be some volatility happening around the presidential election in 2020, don't worry about that affecting your portfolio, because in the long run, the stock market still tends to generally go up, at least in the US, and no candidate has resulted in the stock market going down for too long of a time, no matter who wins. Either way, please make sure you vote on November 3rd, because voting can make a difference for not only our political futures, but also it kind of indirectly affects some of the companies that we might invest in. There are so many other kinds of impacts that voting has, as well as there's a corollary to how we vote our money for the companies that we want to have in the future. Another October fun fact is, interestingly, October happens to be one of the most volatile months during the whole year, whether or not it's a presidential election year. And nobody exactly knows why October tends to be so volatile. I happen to think perhaps it's related to earnings reporting, and towards the end of October you get a lot of companies reporting their earnings, like how they performed in generating revenues and having free cash flows. So maybe Like depending on the performance of how the summer went, which gets reported typically by October, then maybe that might lead to some volatility, but who knows? It really doesn't matter unless you're playing a game that involves dabbling in volatility, and it doesn't mean that October is a more risky time of month to invest. You could actually maybe benefit by, if your company happens to be on sale, then maybe you're getting it at a pretty good price if you're buying it at a margin of safety, which means a discount to the intrinsic value that you've calculated. So maybe you could take advantage of volatility in October that way. So I hope you enjoyed some of those fun facts from October and any investment decisions you might end up making this month, or not. You don't have to do anything, but at the very least, please be safe this Halloween and enjoy some Halloween candy. And if you enjoyed this video or learned something, please like and subscribe. And till next time, woo!